Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to Pitch Talk.
We are fans of football dropping vlogs, videos and podcasts on the beautiful game.
Check out our videos on YouTube and Instagram's IGTV,
including special feature segments,
5 minutes with the G,
the Straight Shootin View,
coaching with JBK. We produce, record and edit video content
and audio on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts,
Verbal, Podomatic,
Anchor,
Spotify
and other podcast platforms.
Join the Pitch Talk revolution on Twitter, Instagram,
Facebook
and www.pitch-talk.com.
The pitch is where we eat.
The pitch is where we sleep.
And the pitch is where we talk.
I can see you now. I can see you now and then. I can see you now.
The Straight Shootin View.
Hey everybody, what is up? My name is Straight Shootin LJA and welcome to another episode of the Straight Shootin View. Now, this Qatar 2022 World Cup. It's been interesting to say the very least. A lot of quote unquote virtue signaling, among other things. I'll get onto a bit of that later. But first off, I want to stick to on the pitch. I know I'm not following Gianni Infantino, but I want to stick on the pitch first. The group stages were actually a lot of fun. Took a while to get warmed up. First couple of games in each group, not much to write home about. But there were some surprises. Saudi Arabia beating Argentina, tremendous. Japan beating Germany, tremendous. Showing that the smaller sides, quote unquote, the smaller sides can give the bigger sides a run for their money. And we've seen it historically before. Look at South Korea's run in 2002 on home soil. I mean, even look at the European Championships with Greece winning it in 2004. So we've seen bits and pieces of that before, but the upsets that have come this time have actually been pretty good, to be honest. But on a general basis, I'm not as excited about matches as I have been in previous years. In part because of the political backdrop, but also in part, it's winter. It's a lot harder to go out and wear your shirts out on the streets. And yeah, it's a lot harder to do that when it's freezing cold. So it's like, there's not that excitement of putting your shirt on in the morning and be like, I'm representing and all that. So I think that kind of plays into it for me a bit as well. But as I said, the group stages took a while to get warmed up on a general basis, and there were a lot of low scoring draws as well, and that was one thing that was like, One thing that was definitely expected was Qatar to be rock bottom of their group. I don't think anybody would have expected them to have gone ahead, topped the group and won the World Cup. You'd have been a lunatic to have predicted that. Or a very, very optimistic betting person. But gambler, there we go, that's what I'm thinking of. You'd have had to have been an extremely optimistic gambler to have had Qatar in your office pool to win the whole tournament, much less even top their group or even come runner-up in the group. So it was a bit of kind of karma that they did come rock bottom of the group and went out with a whimper, creating a bit of history for World Cup history as well, but not in the way they would have wanted to. But you know what, Ed? Like I said, on the pitch, it's been interesting. As I record this, we've seen France blow away Poland, and yeah, it was one of them was a bit of controversy in that. But it's also one of them ones we saw England, surprisingly, somewhat, blow away Senegal as well. And Jude Bellingham, he's doing extremely well in this tournament. Gareth Southgate is obviously encouraging critics with some of his selections, but alright, so far it's worked. Wales, I really wanted them to go through with us. I actually really did. But the last minute stuff against Iran, that last minute capitulation, I was part of me was actually glad it went that way, because it meant that the Wales-England match actually would be there would be some high stakes, but Wales they just didn't come out. I thought Gareth Bale would have been more of a threat. I thought Kiefer Moore would have been a bit more of a threat. And hell, it just didn't really materialise. But one of the things that's kind of annoyed me is the whole, obviously Piers Morgan has his nose so far up Ronaldo's arse, he could taste what he had for dinner 3 weeks ago. And for someone like Piers Morgan to be calling out, Messi fanboys after Argentina's performance in the round of 16, it's kind of like, well, bro, you're the biggest brown noser out here right now, and you are the biggest Ronaldo fanboy right now. So I don't know how you're calling others out for the same sort of conduct. Actually, nowhere near the same sort of conduct. So yeah, once again, Piers Morgan talking out of both sides of his neck. Speaking of that, Gary Neville has been talking smack again. But it's one of them ones, as much as he's like, oh yeah, this and that, and apparently actually speaking out about stuff in Qatar, it's like, well, to me, I can't take you seriously because you're taking their money. So no, if you were out there on a kind of missionary kind of thing where you weren't taking a paycheck from them, I'd find it a lot easier to believe. And I find it ironic that Gary Neville was coming out and saying, what's it, the English media, it's a disgrace the way they've portrayed this. And it's like, hold on a minute, you work for Sky Sports. You're part of that system that you're talking about, and you get paid very handsomely as a part of that system. So once again, I said, Gary Neville talking out of both sides of his neck, as per usual. That's why, whenever I've heard him on ITV's analysis, I turn the sound out. I literally turned the sound out. So yeah, that's one of them where it's just like, I can't listen to him no more, because he talks out of both sides of his neck. How are you gonna criticize the English media, who you work for one of the main proponents and the main exponents of the anti-Qatar rhetoric that you're criticizing? Doesn't make no sense at all. So yeah. Piers Morgan, Gary Neville annoyed the hell out of me. But you know what? Speaking of listening with the volume down, I wish I could have done that with BBC Radio 5 Live with Argentina v Poland. Because Chris Sutton seems to me like he's trying to be just like Roy Keane. The dude is just so negative and just whinges, and it's like, really, dude? It's like come on. It's like I think it was in that Argentina-Poland game where one defender made an absolute, one of those game-saving tackles and celebrated the tackle, and then all we hear is Chris Sutton getting all over him. It's like, oh, you're doing your job. What are you celebrating for? It's like, what? So players aren't allowed to have a bit of emotion? There are times in matches for Ibis Eagles where I've slid in and made a crucial interception, and I've celebrated to myself, not full on celebrating, but a little fist pump or a little, come on lads, let's go, we're not beaten yet, that kind of thing. And it's like, I bet Chris Sutton would be like, oh, what are you doing? You're just doing your job. Why are you getting happy for? And it's like, to me, it just comes across as bitter. It really does kind of come across as Billy Bitch Cakes. And I said, Roy Keane annoys the hell out of me anyway. And even during England-Senegal, he was right above the band. And they mentioned it on commentary, actually, that, Roy Keane's going to be happy about that because the band never stopped playing. And it's like, and then, come to read transcripts later on. That Roy Keane was whinging and moaning because the Senegal band wouldn't stop playing. And it's like, really, dude? It's like, come on, man. They're happy to be at the World Cup. They're the African champions. They're represented. They're a colourful bunch with all the flags, scarves, and with the drums. They're creating atmosphere. So it's like, I said, It's just guys like Roy Keane, Chris Sutton. It's really annoying how bitter these guys are. And remember, both of these guys are Premier League winners. Premier League title winners, had good careers. What's it? Sutton went up to Celtic and won some stuff too. And it's like, dude, why are you guys so bitter? It's like, Christ almighty. It's like, what is wrong with you? And it is one of them where it's like, again, for me, I love commentary, as you guys will know from Straight Shootin View episode 100. Is great commentary a lost art? And also commentators, pundits, and passion. Another Straight Shootin View episode I did, talking about Micah Richards, Jamie Carragher, guys like that showing passion. And for me, Roy Keane and Chris Sutton are kind of like black holes when it comes to charisma. They just suck the air and the enjoyment out of the room. And it's like, you don't need to do that, man. What's wrong with you? Like, brighten up. Go get laid. As I've said about Roy Keane before, go get laid. Christ almighty, what's wrong with you? But also as well, you've got certain co-commentators. Jermaine Genius I actually don't mind, but every now and then he does come out with some silly stuff. But then you've got Danny Gabidon, who during England-Wales, Nico Williams was struck in the head by a Marcus Rashford shot that had some force behind it. And it was one of them ones where obviously it was a stoppage because the ref has to stop it, head injury protocol. So the ref stops it, and then all you hear, and then it was one of them where it was like, all right, cool, let the medical team do what they're doing, and all you hear is Danny Gabidon. Players should take charge when it comes to this, when it comes to getting back on the pitch, whether they can play on or not. And it's like, and I'm thinking, no, you moron. It's like, no, players should not be in charge of that. Because we've seen that before, where players have played on, and it's like, dude, the guy's got a concussion. It's like, you can't play on with that. And I've had my own experience of a concussion back in 2017. I also did my view on the Straight Shootin View about Alan Shearer's documentary. Concussion, Dementia, Football and Me. So it's one of them ones where it's like Danny Gabidon coming out with idiotic comments like that. Oh, players should be. And then to his credit, Jermaine Genius was straight on it and was like, no. Players should not have control over that. It should be the medical staff who are trained to do this, especially trained to do it. And they should have the time to do it. Because it's, and one of those things as well, you look at the England-Iran game where a keeper and one of his defenders clashed, but the keeper was allowed to play on. See, that's the kind of thing that happens when you're forced as a medical team to make a split-second decision and you've got the pressure and the eyes of the world on you. And it shouldn't be like that. Player welfare should be at the forefront of everything you do. Like, whether your football association is going to be annoyed with the decision or not, it's irrelevant. Doesn't matter. Your focus should be player safety. And those powers that be who are not giving the medical staff the time to sort players out, you guys are a disgrace, because you are putting people's lives at risk, and you really shouldn't be. You shouldn't be. So, and I said, it made Danny Gabidon's comments even more stupid, because as Jermaine Genius rightly said, it's like, no, it should be the medical staff, because imagine you're a player in a World Cup. You're not going to want to come off. You're just not. As a player, your rational head is going to say, yeah, I feel woozy, I should come off. But you're going to be like, well, this is the biggest stage I've ever played on, biggest stage in the world, especially if you're part of a nation that doesn't make it to every one of them. So you're going to want to carry on. You're going to want to carry on, whether it's at risk to your health or not. And most players probably don't even know the long-term effects of a concussion or any sort of blow to the head. So no, players should not be in control of that. It's medical staff who are specifically trained for that who should be. So I said, it's like there have been a few of these matches that have almost been ruined for me because of bad co-commentary and also bad analysis. And like Roy Keane, Gary Neville, some of these guys are why I don't watch post-match analysis. because it's the same agenda-based drivel, the same crap, and just BS rhetoric that comes out, and it's like, dude, I don't want to hear it. I really don't want to hear it. As soon as match is done, I'm turning off. I'm done. And even, as I said, certain co-commentators, like the Danny Gabidon comments, it's like, yeah, I can see why you're not running an FA. I wouldn't want you running my under fives. Because if that's your attitude towards head injuries, the players should always take control. They should take charge. No. Bro, no. That's why there's head injury protocol. Remember Hugo Lloris years ago? He wanted to carry on playing on it. You could see he was out of it. So it's like, no. It infuriates me. And these people are paid top dollar as well. But you know what? I want to give a shout out to the good ones. Alex Scott, fantastic. Rio Ferdinand's been pretty good too. I've got to give him that. And at the end of the day, it's like Michael Richards as well. These guys have actually been really, really good. Really, really enjoyable to watch, to listen to. Pablo Zabaleta's been decent too. Laura Georges, she's been the former French international. Laura Georges has been pretty good as well. And you know what? I want to end this episode with this. It's brilliant to see how the African teams are doing. Look at Morocco. They have absolutely smashed it. Senegal did well. It's one of them ones in groups you wouldn't expect them to do well in. So you know what? Give them all the props in the world. The African teams have been representing. And Laura Georges was like, you know what? In this World Cup, the African teams are stepping up their game. And you know what? Yeah, they have been. And props to them for it. Absolute props to them for it. But as I said, I wanted to end on a good note and congratulate and give some props to those who I've actually enjoyed their discussions, their topics, their views. But you know what? I want to know your views as well. www.pitch-talk.com. What have been your views? Have you enjoyed the Qatar 2022 World Cup so far? I kind of have, but obviously the political stuff, I don't know, man. It's one of them ones. But by the way, I don't think Germany got eliminated because they had more eye on making political statements. I do not think that for 1 second. That is an utterly moronic theory. Because as soon as them guys step out on them white lines, you switch that off. So tunnel vision, you switch that off. So yeah, anybody trying to say to the contrary, no, doesn't wash for me. But www.pitch-talk.com is the official website. Let us know your views. You can catch our podcast episodes on our website. Find out a bit more about us co-hosts, myself, Straight Shootin LJA, the G-Man, Nathan Arsenal, and Coach JBK as well. YouTube.com/Pitch Talk for all the videos. Also at Pitch Talk on Twitter. Tweet with us, follow us, see what we are up to. Facebook.com/Pitch Talk. Become a fan, become a friend, become a member of the group. Join the footballing revolution we're working so hard to create. Also at Pitch Talk, we're on Reddit. We're at Pitch Talk on Instagram for vlog previews and much, much more. Where else are we? Well, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Verbal, VURBL, we're Verbal ambassadors and proud of it. Ghana, GAANA, Player FM, wherever you pick up your podcast, you can find the Pitch Talk podcast. The Straight Shootin View, Coaching with JBK, 5 Minutes with the G, and much, much more. Yeah, man, give us a like, give us a subscribe, give us a rating. If you feel we deserved it, drop us a 5-star one as well. But you know what? I have been Straight Shootin LJA, and you know what? Until next time, thank you for your time here on the Straight Shootin View, and enjoy the rest of the Qatar 2022 World Cup. Take care, peeps.
Join the Pitch Talk revolution.
Check out the official Pitch Talk website.
www.pitch-talk.com. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to Pitch Talk.
We are fans of football dropping vlogs, videos and podcasts on the beautiful game.
Check out our videos on YouTube and Instagram's IGTV,
including special feature segments,
5 Minutes with the G,
the Straight Shootin View,
Coaching with JBK. We produce, record and edit video content
and audio on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts,
Verbal, Podomatic,
Anchor,
Spotify
and other podcast platforms.
Join the Pitch Talk revolution on Twitter, Instagram.
Facebook.
and www.pitch-talk.com.
The pitch is where we eat.
The pitch is where we sleep.
And the pitch is where we talk.
I can see you now.